I see someone out there. Let's see who all is here. Oh, Samantha, Caden, Chase. Oh, so there's four of us, a remnant. I see Noah. Okay. Caden, the Lord only wanted me to find 2 righteous students, and then he wouldn't destroy OBU. So we're ahead of the curve. All righty. Let's go over here and take a look now. Just some kind of preliminary, just some housekeeping, a little bit of a review of where we're at. This, of course, is module or week 6, and we've been doing these workshops ahead of schedule, so you already should have uploaded these and provided the examples there for you. So that's what we did this week, XLS 8 and 9. And then of course, next week is spring break, and then we're going to move into week 8 after that. Obviously, you'll have 2 quizzes due on the Friday after you return from spring break. Isn't that nice of me? There will be no cases. We'll work on some. I think at that point we'll probably do pivot table, and then we'll be ready to work on access. So I'm moving us ahead rapidly as I promised on these workshops so that I can give you some downtime to work on things as well as your final when we get near the end of the course. We worked through 10 and 11. Where we are today is we're working on XLS 12 or workshop 12. Now, workshop 12 is we're dealing with some inbound delivery, a little bit of a problem with that, and then some custom sorts, macros, and command buttons. So we're going to mess with that a little bit. And this is kind of a specialized piece of Excel, but it's also one of those that can let you get under the hood and see how you might maybe customize Excel a little bit. And for some of you, I'm hoping, and when you see this, you'll go, "This is interesting. Maybe I could do some coding. Maybe I ought to take a coding course or something of that type." Now, the files, there are 1 of 3 files you can upload for credit. One is this Truman assembly case. This is one of my old cases I messed with a little bit. And it's in the file section, but also have it over here in the module. Then there's makeup sort temp, and that's from chapter 25, and that's in the Excel companion content 1 zip file. And then there's Redbold, and we'll take quite a bit of look at Redbold. That's in chapter 89, and then I'll walk you through the process of creating macros. So that's what we've got going on there. Now, I'll close that off. And let's see if I've got Redbold. I want to close Redbold. Okay. Now, let's go into the module and take a look at it. And again, this is going to take us down to, I think, week 11, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there's XLS 12 and then XLS 13. XLS 12 deals with macros and why we use them, putting them together. They're very easy, and a macro is really nothing more than just a recording of your keystrokes, and then you save them, and then you can use an object, say like insert a figure, you can click it, and you can automate a spreadsheet, automate some tasks if you care to. Now, XLS 13, that moves us into the realm of the last. 13 is the last of the Excel cases, and I've saved it for last because Excel's pivot table is the most powerful tool it has, other than the optimizer and the random functions. And so we'll take a look at the pivot table, and the pivot table is an attempt to get the best of both worlds, to use the very best of a database, those characteristics, and combine it with the very best characteristics of a spreadsheet. Now, there's some products out there that are hybrid, what I call hybrid types of products. The one that's the most prominent, or I think is the most prominent, would be Tableau, which has some database features, has spreadsheet features, and also what I really like is it has some mapping features in it too. And it's just gaining prominence. But the pivot tables are, and when we work on that case, we'll work on that case when we come back. That'll give us a nice segue to start to work on Microsoft Access and to work on databases and putting our toes in the water with them. So we're going to start over here, and this is the case that I had done. Okay, and let me find that over here. And actually, here it is. It's called XLS 12 Done. And so let's download it. Okay. And you're going to notice something when you do, and I'm going to put this in my folder. Okay. I want to show this to you. And let's open it up. You're going to get some security warnings, additional security warnings, because it has a macro. Now, I'm going to click Enable Editing, and then you're going to see security warning. Macros have been disabled, okay? Well, we'll enable the content, and it says OK. Now, typically how you will identify an Excel spreadsheet with a macro is it'll have an M at the end of the suffix. You'll also notice here we had two warnings. First was enable the content in general, and then the second was it said you have some macros in here. Do you want to enable them? Now, these are security features because macros are places where people can put malicious code, and we'll see this also over in Access where people can put in what's called an SQL injection that can contaminate a database and create whole lots of problems. All right, but this is XLS 12 Done, and I'm going to save this to my desktop. We'll save it as, and I'll put it on the desktop. And obviously I've worked already on this, so now, let's take a look at what we've got going on here. First of all, this is a pretty typical spreadsheet for somebody who's tracking inventory. Now, you'll notice as you run across, we've got the vendor name, their number, the order number, the item number, the description, the cost of the item, the quantity, the cost per order, the terms for accounts payable terms, and you'll see something interesting here. You'll see this 1.5% net 41. What this means is if you pay the full bill within 41 days or sooner, you get a 1.5% trade credit. Now, there are some sites out there that will show you that if you take trade credit, in other words, if you take the percentages that vendors will offer you, you can borrow money at a pretty high rates and still come out ahead. So this is working us through this process. We're part of some kind of supply chain where we've got people who sell stuff to us, i.e. we buy from them, and then we turn around and we sell stuff to other people. Now, parts of this are these last four columns. Notice that we've got the promised shipping date, okay? And we've got the promised transit, how long it will take to get here, and actual arrival date. And notice we've got the days overdue. And in this case, that shipped the 23rd, supposed to take 4 days. It got here 2 days early. Okay. Now, that could be bad or good. And one of the reasons I like to use these old cases is because here's a good example of where just a simple number out of context may or may not help you. Now, if this is of stuff that's perishable, you have extremely limited space for perishables. This can be bad news. What this probably means is you're going to have to rearrange some of the stock room, perhaps. You're going to have to you may have to make some room to get it through an inbound area. An inbound area is where, well, people who sell you stuff, you bring it in there and you unload it so you're not disrupting your business. It's usually at the store. So if you want to use the fancy language of an inbound area, go behind Target or Walmart one of these days, drive back there and you've been there. Okay? It's amazing. Now, on the other hand, if it's overdue, and this is a time-sensitive component, that is, I got to get this thing out the door because I've got a customer who wants it by the 30th, this becomes a problem because it might be an issue of where I've got to spend 5 days working with this component. This is just something that will come with experience, and it will just, if you work in those kinds of industries, I always use this also as a way to make yet another advertisement for maybe looking at jobs in transportation and logistics. And you're going to hear me say this over and over and over. Without those two things, a global economy comes to a screeching halt. If you can't get the stuff you've sold to the people who bought it from you in a condition and in a time frame that they want it, you've lost the sale. You may not get the sale in the first place. So I'm going to say again and again, especially for marketing and management students, you want to look at that industry. Now, got a question here, so let me see.
Why are you the way that you are?
Oh, okay. Let me do this. Thank you very much.
Who was told?
I'm going to mute all. Are you sure it's not my microphone that's turned on that's causing the problems? Did that help? Let me know if it helped or not. Did that help? It probably is my microphone. All right, good. Okay, now, again, this is just my opinion. I could be wrong, but I think in probably in 20, 25 years, the biggest companies in the world will be logistics companies, if not among the largest. It's going to have to happen because of the demands of consumers to get stuff when they want it and how they want it, okay? So this case kind of introduces us a little bit to that as well. And in addition, this is a nicely laid out little table for you that has all of the, there are two types of data here for a moment. Let me digress. This stuff here, the vendor name, okay, item description, these are what we would call dimensions, attributes, okay? Variables, if you will. The item description, the item number, the order number, the vendor name, they're really dimensions. Characteristics would be a better, and then as you walk across here, you see the item cost, and the rest of these are things that you can perform a mathematical operation with. You could say, okay, if I can get that turn, if I can get a discount net 41, then how much will it save me? But the AP terms, yeah, it fits within what we would call a fact, the fact pieces of a record, because these are all records, because it's something I can calculate from. I can perform a mathematical operation. And when we get into looking at databases, you'll understand this. So this is well designed. In addition, it's got these 3 macros that help us automate typical tasks. Let's look at this for just a moment. Let's say that let's say that I open up my device that my employers provide me. It could be a phone, could be a tablet, probably be a laptop. and I have my little dashboard. You're going to get a dashboard. It will just depend on your level, your company, your industry, what will be on there. Okay, but you'll have one. It will have key performance indicators. How am I doing? What's due today? If you open up Canvas, every single one of you, you've got one of those things. The first thing you probably are looking at is what's due today or this week. The next thing you're looking at is what are my grades? Okay, so you're already used to using those. You know, if you have a checking account, you do banking online, same story. Like, that's all that a dashboard is really designed to do. So I'm interested to say, okay, well, who today, because this assumes that I've got a serial record set. It continues to just keep going. And this may be something, for example, if I'm a small company that somebody sends to me, a subordinate or maybe my boss. If I'm in a larger company, this will be something that's come from the database program that's there. And I'm interested, who's fast delivering today? Okay, and it will sort them by fast delivery. We start with the one who has they were 2 days early. These people were a day early, etc. Now I'm concerned about who's slow. Okay, and maybe I've got some vendors who are providing me some critical components on a massive order, and I'm going to make sure I get the stuff and get it on time. So I'm going to check here, and I'm going to see, sort by slow. And there we are. And if it's Faulkner Fasteners, my heart sinks because they're the top 3 of being late. And so this is the point in time when I might need to call them and say, hey, if you can't get it to me on time, or if you don't get it to me on time, okay, I may have to find somebody else. Now, you have to hope you have somebody else. If you've been listening to the news and hear people complaining about the hollowing out of our manufacturing base, one of the problems is that as these little companies that do these kinds of things, as they disappear, there's fewer and fewer people for you to call and go, well, look, if I can't get this done by you, I'll go down the street, because there's nobody down the street. Suddenly you have a captive audience. And what that promotes is a situation where maybe I'm a sole supplier and I know it, and I just start stiffing my customers. Every possible way I get a chance. I cheat them. I'm slow with deliveries. I might short them on things. I send them the wrong stuff. I don't care. And if I'm the sole supplier, all right, I'm in good shape for a while, till the people who are my customers say, you know, if I can get the stuff from somebody in China faster than I can get it to you from Buffalo, and I'm in Oklahoma City, guess where I'm going to go start shopping? So these are things that have some stuff embedded here in this case that are important for us. We've identified the slow delivers, and we'll do by the fast, and there we are. Then we can also, of course, sort them by vendor. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever used a macro or ever worked with them, but macros are nothing more than simply a recording of it's nothing more than recording keystrokes. Okay? Now, let's click View. And if you go to the far right, you're going to see a thing called macros. Or you could do Alt F8. I've never been a keystroke. Look, I don't do I don't do shortcut keys for a very simple reason. For the longest time, I never had a mouse or one of those. I wrote everything at the DOS level. So when I got a mouse, I thought I'm truly living large. So I'm going to click on macros, and I'm going to view them. Let's take a look at what we've got here. I've got the fast arrival, okay? And this is, I've got a description of it, okay? And I've got, and I can edit it if I care to, but this description should tell me, you know, I've got stuff, who sends me stuff the fastest in terms of who has the lowest amount of days overdue, okay? Then I have slow arrival. Here's another macro. And then I have a vendor sort. And if I've done all the work I would have all that data. I'm going to click on edit there if I want to. And you go, what happened? This is taking us down to the subroutine level in Excel. This is giving us a little bit of a peek. And what we're working with here is what we call Visual Basic, Excel Visual Basic. Now, many of you may have done this before or worked with this, and if you had, or if you've done some coding and you learned Visual Basic, it's going to look quite familiar to you. And if you take a look here at the top, you're going to see the general. This is a general subroutine, meaning Excel has a little black box. The little black box has all of the functions and features of Excel. You and I come along and say, well, I want to use those, but make my own little subroutine. Okay, fair enough. So it's a general subroutine, and then it's called vendor sort. And you'll notice it says option explicit, and that is everything's got to be laid out here. There's nothing that can be assumed. So I've got some comments. Here's the subroutine, vendor sort. Okay. And it's kind of like a function. Notice the parentheses. And then you see the green. That's comment. Those are comments. So the machine ignores those and says, all right, you got some comments. And we can put in some little spaces to make it a little easier to read. And I also mentioned the shortcut. Now we come into the macro itself, and it gives us the range, E9, and we select that. And then it gives us another range, and then we sort, and it's going to walk through every single stroke we make. And then the subroutine ends. So if I want to, I can come in and tailor this a little bit. We're going to look at one of these, the red bud, which is kind of a baby macro. We'll look at that here in a little bit, that you can come in and tailor it. But same story here. But when I'm running a macro, I'm doing nothing but recording keystrokes. Okay. Now, if I'm ready to go back up to Excel, just click over here. I go back to view the Excel, and there I am. Now, let's go ahead and create a macro. So I'm going to click on the macros. And notice it says view, record, or use relative references. And I'm going to click record. The little red button's going. Now it says I want to have a name for this thing. Now listen, because it's recording your keystrokes, the machine will wait. So there's no need to get feeling nervous or any of that stuff. You just work through and you do what you're going to do. That's the nice thing about it. You're exceptionally spoiled people, because when Excel was first created, the only way I could customize it was to go in, and there was none of the dialog boxes. I just went in and created subroutines and wrote the code. And I'm kind of a lazy person, so I didn't like that. So when we had the macros function came on board, I was rejoicing. So we're going to call this macro name, we're going to call it fun. Okay. Now, if we want, we can create a shortcut key. Yikes, excuse me. That could be Control F, Control V, whatever. I don't like them, I don't use them. But if you want to have your own, you can. And then here I put a description. Okay. I've got that done. And now I'm going to click OK. Now,
Sorry. What did you hit before you hit record macro?
I clicked on the macro area, view macros, click on view, tab, and then go far right, and you'll see view macros.
So mine comes up with macro 1. Did you?
Yeah, I just changed the name. Yeah, because you got you see the dialog box?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a dialog box. One of the things about spreadsheets that it's important always to remember is you always have a dialog box of some type. So Microsoft especially, and everybody imitates them, will invoke that. So you can you saw that little gray box, you put and that's where I put the name. Now, so far it's waiting for me to do something, okay? So I'm going to start over here at the cost per order at R8, okay? And I'm going to come all the way down. I'm going to highlight all that. And just below it, and then I'm going to click home, and I'm going to do the auto sum. Okay? So I use the auto sum to give me how much all of those total. All right? Now I'm going to come back over, and I'm going to click view. Everybody with me? And I'm going to click, and I'll see a blue button that says stop recording. And remember, this is, I'm recording this lecture, so if you want to see it. Plus, if you're really interested, chapter 89, the red bold, walks you step by step by step in screenshots to do it. So I'm going to click stop recording, and my macro is saved. Now I need to baptize it. See how I integrate faith with learning? I should say like my grandpa used to. They need to be baptized. Okay. Now, but he was a Methodist, so they just threw water on people. I don't know how to explain all that. My grandmother was a Southern Baptist. Anyway, their parents objected. My grandparents got married. What was it? They got married in 1880 something. Their parents thought it was a mixed marriage because one was a Methodist and one was a Baptist. It's an interesting story. And my grandmother, this is on my dad's side, her brothers came and took her from my grandpa's farm and took her back because the parents didn't want a mixed marriage. This is true. And they had eloped and gone to another county. Well, about as my grandfather tells it, about 2 months later, he's there working out in the field. He looks up and here comes the brothers, and he thinks, oh no, they've come to kill me. And then here's my grandmother behind them, and her older brother just looked at him and said, take her, she won't stop crying. So I think they mended their fences later on, but an incredible story. Anyway, I digress. But let's go in now. We've got that macro created, and click on macros, and we'll see view macros, and there's the fun macro. Okay? Now, I want to assign an object to it so I can engage in some object-oriented programming, and I'm going to do that. So I'm going to click insert, and then I'm going to find a shape, and here I'm going to do a star. Okay. And I have a little star there. Now the star, I can tailor it. I can do the font, different fill, different font, all of this. I'm going to right click and I'm going to put edit text. And I'm going to put fun. All right. Again, I can change the font color, the size, etc. Now, I'm going to right-click it again, and if you scroll up, you'll see a thing called Assign Macro. You see it? Assign Macro. And I'll click that, and it's going to show me the macros that are there, and I'm going to click on Fun and click OK. And now I have now I've recorded a macro, and now I've done object-oriented programming, where I took my recorded keystrokes and assigned this object to them so it will function. You folks, bless your hearts, you have no idea how lucky you are to have a tool like Excel where you can just click on icons and stuff happens. I worked with machines when you wrote programs, and Microsoft, I bet, probably has 3,000 or 4,000 people who do nothing but work on Excel the year round. And I'm glad you got it because it's an incredible tool. But to have all of this, these are hundreds and hundreds of millions of lines of code that are up here to show you all these icons and click and have the functionality. And then to put it in a nice little black box. So I've got my fun thing there, okay? and I can click it and it will run and it will give me the total. Isn't that nice? You say, well, could I do one that does the average of all of those? Certainly. I could do one that gives me the median, the standard deviation, whatever I want. It automates it. Okay? So for the 10 of you who are here today, you're into an important secret. Now, unfortunately for those who aren't attending today, the screencast, little they know that when I get back, I have coupons for Rob's. That's a lie. I don't. That's not true. But tell people anyway, just to kind of stir them up. I don't care. No, that's not a nice thing to do. But now we have we've created a macro, and we can automate our processes. Okay? Now, as I said, as we started this, you get a couple of security warnings from Excel because for Microsoft Excel, because they want you to make sure you're enabling enable editing. Yes, question.
So Buzz macro is kind of useful for doing that column. Is there a way to create a macro that would just do it for different columns so you could choose which column you want?
Yeah, you could do that. It'll record your keystrokes. So if you want to have one macro that'll do a whole bunch of operations, sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's really no limit on what it will do. It's just as many keystrokes as you want to do. Yeah. Oh, certainly. Yeah. When all of you go out to work, and that's an excellent question because it segues me back to this thing of dashboards. You're going to encounter these when you're out at work and you get a dashboard. It's really what it is a series of macros, okay, that when you click on that, or your apps, when you click on the app, it does certain things. Apps are based on these two. The little icon on your phone is an object, and when you touch that object, it executes taking you over to ESPN or whatever, and then from there ESPN will have you'll do your searches or whatever. Okay, so I don't know. It's been a while since I taught Visual Basic, and I can't remember what the limit is on the number of operations. But yeah, you could do a whole bunch of it and press it and have it done for sure. Yeah. So this is one that you could upload for XLS 12. Okay, and again, this is to automate particular things. Now, over here, I had the printout of the different macros, and these are from the vendor sort subroutine, the fast arrival macro, okay, and the slow arrival, okay, and it will just show you. It shows you the keystrokes and then the end of the subroutine. Now, I always like this section also because I really do think that there are many of you who get a little bit intimidated by coding and by numbers, and you really shouldn't, okay? I'm hoping there will be some of you go, I might want to go take a Python course, or I might want to go take a Visual Basic course or whatever. There are many, many sites out there. Code Academy is one of those that's out there on the web, and I like to go out there every now and then and take a look at it and play around with whatever's out there. And you may have heard me say this before, but I can't emphasize it enough. On a periodic basis, I go over to monster.com just to see what are the entry-level jobs there for folks in marketing and management, particularly them. Look, if you have a degree in accounting, you've got a job or you've got one waiting on you. Same thing, computer science. Finance, maybe, but marketing and management, sometimes it doesn't work like that. So I like to go out and see, well, what are people after? And over the past 12 years that I've been here, when I go out and take a look at entry-level marketing positions, I was shocked because it started to become this thing where you'd look and say, we're looking for someone that understands digital marketing, who understands search engine optimization, and who could maybe run Python or some other programming language that seems to work for those people, maybe a familiarity with R and big data. And I'm going, whoa, our curriculum just got changed on us. If I go out and I did this has been a few weeks ago, I went out and took a look at at entry-level jobs for financial analysts. These are entry-level jobs. They want you not only to have a finance degree, but they wanted you also to be able to use R programming and do Python and understand big data sets. Why? Because everything in financial analysis now is about building predictive algorithms. And you got to have those skill sets to do it, or writing apps for your company or for your customers. And I was just kind of in a state of shock when I saw it. But you know, it makes sense, because with mobile computing, people want to have quick, instantaneous figures, data, etc. And so I wasn't too surprised. Any of you who are finance majors, if you're in this class with me, or if you're any major, if you really want to see the future of what's going on in Wall Street, there's a book out there, it's called The Flash Boys. And it will astound you when you realize that what we call market arbitrage, that is where identify an opportunity to make money, is today more about your predictive algorithms and how fast your server is than how much wisdom and knowledge you have about the market. That book blew my mind, because I thought, I don't believe, but wow, you just got to see it. And so these kinds of changes, you get adapted to them. So one of the reasons I like to go through this is to let you see the code and see how simple it is. Let's go back in and view the macros, okay? And let's look at, let's step into the fast arrival, excuse me, click step into. And this will take us down to the project level, okay? And notice I've got the, it's a general, and I've got the name, and it's got the subroutine, and it's called fast arrival. And notice it's got a couple of parentheses like a function. So Excel handles these little macros like a function. Now you can do projects, which is streaming together a series of subroutines. That's a little bit more complex and beyond what we want to mess with in here. But as you can see, if I want to, I can come in and I can tailor this however I would care. And we're going to see this when we look at Red Bulb here in just a second. So I want to go back up to the Excel view. And all I can tell you is in one way or the other, you'll be doing some programming one way or the other. It may be just using objects where you're doing filters, sorts, etc. on a dashboard where you're putting together some queries and you're running through a series of where you're running through a drill down exercise. But in one way or the other, you will. And the people I think who are going to advance will be the people who will be able to do some coding and scripting if they need to do it. But I was really shocked when I saw the changes there in the requirements for people. It just blew me away, especially the marketing people. I just, wow. But, you know, when you think about it, hey, it makes a lot of sense. Well, I'm going to close this file. And, of course, if you wish, you can upload it. And then we've got two other files that we can take a look at. Now, the red bold is the one that I want to look at. And I'm going to go back over here. And let's go back over to the module. Okay. And when we come down here, we'll look at the modules. I went too far. And we'll come down. And we're going to find the red bold. Now, this is kind of a baby macro. It just introduces you to the concept. So let's go ahead and download. Now, you can upload this 12 done, this one, this is out of chapter 25, and then the red bold, which is out of chapter 89. So if you want to see step by step by step, that's there. Or if you want to see the embellishment, then of course you've got the recording, you can do that. Let's open Red Bold up for a moment. Okay, and I'm going to download it. All right. Now, I'm going to enable the editing, and I'm going to enable the macros. And all that's going on here with this Red Bold is we're just simply changing some font. It's Calibri 11 red. Let's go up and take a look at it, and we'll click on the view, and we'll click on macros, and we'll view the macros, and we'll see the red bold, and I'm going to click step into, okay, and there it is. Now I like it because it shows you more clearly, okay. The authors took the time to take each line of your keystroke, each keystroke, and put them in lines so they're a lot more discernible than just the jumbled, what looked like the jumbled mess I showed you there. Now let's note this. This is a selection of font. Okay, remember it's recording your keystrokes. Then and you chose Calibri, you chose bold, you chose size 11. You see all those falses. Those are others that you could use that you did not. And you also did not underline it. You used color 255, which is red. You didn't use any tint or shade. And you used the theme font, which is basically the Excel, Microsoft Excel theme, their go-to font. Boom, and you ended with that line of code, and then you ended the subroutine. Okay, that's all that's going on. Now I'm going to close this. Well, I'm going to go back up to the Excel. All right, and I'm going to close this off. So this is another you can upload for the credit. And I want to go back over to the text, because the text over there in chapter 89 does a fantastic job of walking you step by step through macros. Now, there are people, I'm not one of them, who love to use Visual Basic for Excel and do all kinds of stuff with it. And frankly, here's my kind of feeling about it. If you love doing that, great. Every now and then I'm interested in playing around with an Excel, with a spreadsheet or the workbook, excuse me. But most of the time, if I'm doing a whole lot of stuff, I'm going to say, hey, what's a client application out there that will have this for me done already? Because I'm not here to be coding. I'm here to be a decision maker. I'm here to look at data and understand what's going on. But you can see they'll walk you through the whole process with each of these screenshots and explain them to you. And it's very, very nicely done. There you can see there's at the project or the subroutine level. And then there's the object that we created to do the object-oriented programming. Okay. And then relative references, if you want to do that. I'll walk you through using relative references. And so they give you a set of problems also. But those sets of screenshots will walk you through it. I think it's very, 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 very nicely done. So you could upload that. There's one from chapter 25, if I'm not mistaken. And we'll go back here to the modules. And what is that one called? Let me open up here. That's the make up, sort, temp. That's from chapter 25. Okay. Now we started just a hair early, and it's about 2:40, and I know it's the start of spring break, and everybody's brain is dead, etc. Okay, and I do appreciate the 10 of you who arrived, who were here. What that means is that God will not destroy OBU this week, because I found 10 righteous people, including myself. So that's 9 righteous people. Well, there's 9 righteous people than me. What can I say? So if you want also, now let's scroll down here, and we're going to find, there's the, yeah, so the XLS 12 done, make up, sort, temp, and the red bold, and those, any of those 3, you can upload for XLS 12. And so you can just upload it and you've got that out of the way. XLS 13, and I mentioned this earlier, will take us into the world of pivot tables. Pivot tables are the most powerful facet of Excel. I've mentioned that before, and we'll see it as we work through a little thing called a case called Pacific Trading. And it's going to be a good segue for us to get our toes wet with relational databases. Now we're coming into the part of the course where if you say, what will really differentiate me from somebody else out there when I'm interviewing for a job? What will really differentiate you is that you'll have a pretty decent working knowledge of databases, okay? And that's something that most business schools, they just don't do, because a lot of them don't get it. They don't understand what database technology is doing, and they don't understand that database technology is what I call a business model. And you say, what in the world do you mean? Let me give you a very simple business. It's a place called Turner Classic Movies. What does Turner Classic Movies do? They catalog and present old movies. They sell trips. They sell novelty items, posters, you name it. But at the heart of their business was a guy named Ted Turner, who was so smart, because when all the old studios in Hollywood were selling off all of their properties, he started buying up everything he could get. And here's what, he was a genius. He is a genius. And he bought all these fantastic, the movies that were made from the 1935 up to about 1965 are film art at its best. You cannot, there's nothing any better, okay? And I'm going to tell you, once you get tired of looking at computer animations all day and shoot 'em ups and all of this and gory stuff, you find some great movies, you're going to just go, wow, where did this come from? And now my thing is, I love what a film's called film noir. These are crime films. And what I love about them is they really kind of tell a little bit about the American dream, and maybe it's not what it's all cracked up to be. But what always fascinates me is it's in black and white, but it is just incredible what they can do with black and white photography. The people who did it were geniuses. Well, that's a business that's based on a database, okay? IMDb, same story. They're just really out front. We're just a database. Come here and look up people. My wife and I will watch a movie, and we'll run over and look up somebody on IMDb, and I go, how do we live without this? Because we'll see a face and go, who is this person? Are they dead? Usually our question is, are they dead? That's a function of our age more than anything. So we're going to take a look at these tools. Now I want to show you something to kind of close off the day here, because I think it's fitting, because you're going to hear me talk about databases. When we got spreadsheets, all of us thought, oh, I'm in heaven. We could manipulate data, we could produce data, we could visualize it, etc., in ways we never dreamed, faster and faster we ever thought. Well, databases are starting to open up. The databases are also a business model, and they're as well as a technological tool. And I want to show you something. This is an article that showed up in the New York Times. Now listen, I read the New York Times. It doesn't mean I'm a communist. Okay, if you're smart, you'll get a subscription online, because the New York Times, the business section is second to none, especially the section called Deal Make. I think it's the Deal Maker or Deal Market. And what they do is that section tracks and looks at mergers and acquisitions. Where's the money, venture capital? Where's it flowing to in Wall Street? I mean, where's it flowing to? And just like if you want to catch bad people, you follow the money. If you want to find where business is headed, you follow the money. And so that section is fantastic. This is just an incredible article. And this talks about retailers, okay, and their use of facial recognition technology. Retailers, ground-based, are desperate. They're desperate because they have fixed costs, a building they got to pay for. They're fighting Amazon and everybody else that's online, and they're desperate to make the experience of retail shopping, make it something better. If you go in most malls today, here's what you're going to see. Half the stores closed, a cluster of teenagers, about 10 or 11, who are probably on the verge of some kind of violent activity or who knows what, and a lot of people walking around doing their power walking, but not many people buying. Retailing is going to die unless people really make some radical shifts. So one of the ways they're trying to do this is to make the retail experience a far more personalized experience. And this article talks about how Saks Fifth Avenue was using facial recognition technology to track bad people. And they said, well, why don't we track our own customers so we can offer them a tailored experience? So you walk in with your Saks Fifth Avenue app, and you press on it, and it shows you what you purchased last. It shows you where that was. It shows you the store map, all this stuff. And you can see for yourself here that these folks are really saying, okay, how in the world do they do that? Now, I haven't done this. I am a senior, and I still have a landline, so hooey on you. But I'm holding out. I have a landline just because I'm kind of stubborn. Wife says, you're not right. And I said, that's true, okay? But I do all this technology, and I'm not going to give up my cable yet. I'll probably die clutching my bill from Cox Cable. I probably should die, but here they show you, this is from one of their conventions. They're talking about how this technology, this company First Space, how they're using it and how they intend to use it, okay, for enhancing the retail experience. And I would say this type facial recognition technology and what we call 3D printers are going to really transform retailing. Imagine this. You have a 3D printer, and you can go online and look at the things. They've got YouTube's full of stuff with 3D printers. And let's say you go and you buy mold material for a plate. And with it comes a little ceramic baking thing, okay? And then you have your 3D printer, and you want to personalize your china. Let's say you're a wedding shop, and someone comes and says, I don't want to buy just something off the shelf at dealers. I want something really unique that's mine. Well, there are going to be people out there, probably are already, who will say, I can make you something, I can customize it. I think we're going to see it with plates, cups, those types of items. Of course, they're already doing some fantastic stuff with these 3D printers. It's just a question of dumbing them down in terms of their usage and getting the cost down. And by the time most of you are my age, you'll probably have a 3D printer at home. But who would have ever thought you'd have a printer at your house? Hewlett-Packard certainly didn't. Hewlett-Packard never at all envisioned a home printer. They thought they were going to sell giant printers to big companies. They'd make a fortune. And then they found out people wanted to print stuff at home. And now you can buy a printer for $150 and it does everything. They can copy, collate, print, all these things. Way, way, way far in excess of what anybody thought. I hope you'll take some time to read this article about First Face and what they're doing, because these types of tools that are biometric in nature are they're just incredible little tools that are going to change. I mean, if the car will recognize your fingerprints, you don't have to carry a key fob. Why would you? You just you put in the security code and it checks your fingerprints and says it's okay. Now, again, if you're a Russian mobster and you've carried out a hit, well, but you'll need to know the code too for the fingerprint things to work. But this is a fascinating article, and I also want to encourage you, go out and take a look at some of these resources that are there, like Harvard Business Online, Stanford, they've got an online publication, Sloan Management Review, that's MIT, and see what the top people in the world are thinking, because they're generally about 5 to 10 years ahead of everybody. And I would really recommend that for you, so that you say, hey, you're not surprised by these kinds of things, and you may see some business opportunities. Long time ago, when we first started getting database technologies, I had some students who came and said, we have an idea. I said, okay. It was about five of them. I said, what's your idea? And they said, well, here's what we think. We know now, we can set up a database with a server. We can set up some screens with a script. We can set up some Excel files and link them all together. And we're going to sell car warranties, and we're going to sell refinance of vehicles. And I said, well, how are you going to do that? And I said, simple. We're going to go to all the states, and we're going to get their public records. I thought to myself, I'm so proud of all of you, but why didn't I think of this first? And lo and behold, they did. And then they took that data, and they'd have a thing, they'd call people, they'd send people a letter. And so they were using a database marketing system. They were sending out these letters, and so-and-so, and thank you, I see that you just bought a car, blah, blah, blah. And the person would call in the prospect, and they'd give them they'd say, okay, well, can you get your loan contract out? And they'd say, yeah, we've got First Bank over here. Yeah, we can beat that. Giving your credit score, blah, 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 because they were saying they had people running the credit scores. And giving your credit score, yeah, we can get you, 1.5%, 2% half below what you're paying out. So we can save you $50, $60 a month on your car. Then they started selling, warranties, and then they started selling, I think the worst, which I said, get out of that, was they were selling these skunks that you put in your car for air fresheners. I said, that's demeaning. Stop selling the car freshener. Because they'd send me stuff, and I'd take a look at it to say, okay, what's going on with this? And what are you doing these lately? So they'd put me on a mailing. But that's the power of a database. So there was like I said, I was very proud of them, but I was also kicking myself going, why didn't I think of that? Well, folks, that should be a good segue for us. So when we return, we'll look at pivot tables, and then we'll start to look at databases. I have preached all I will. I'm through. And I will take up an offering when we return. Thank you very much for being here. And I'm going to stop the share and stop the recording.